Hello and welcome. We'll be coming to you live this week from Amman, Jordan, to give you an inside look at life in this part of the world and to examine some of the issues that the people here are focusing on. Well, arguably the biggest topic right now in the coffee shops here is the 40th anniversary of the Six-Day War, when Israel occupied the West Bank, Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula and Golan Heights. One man who's been eyewitness to the 4 decades of US and Arab diplomacy since that war in 1967 is Adnan Abu Odeh, who's held a number of key positions in Jordan. He was a close personal advisor to the late King Hussein, served as Minister of Information, head of the Royal Court, and as Jordan's ambassador to the United Nations. Mr. Abu Odeh also served as an advisor to the current King, Abdullah II, and is a board member of the International Crisis Group. Now, of course, we'll be taking your calls on the show, and you can reach us at the numbers on the bottom of your screen. Well, Adnan Abu Odeh, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Good to chat with you.
Thank you, sir.
I have to start by asking you, what do you believe are the 3 main issues that are the most pressing in Jordan right now?
The most pressing one, as you put in your introduction, is the 40th anniversary. It has a special taste for Jordanians because for Jordan, before any other Arab country, the future of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict reflects on the future of Jordan. That's why everybody now remembers that the issue has not been resolved yet. And that's why it is becoming an issue. You read it now in the press, columnists started to read, people started to debate in houses, chat about it, haggle, like always. 40 years have passed and there is no peace.
Now, before we explore this in detail, what are the other 2 you think? So we've got the
other 2 things, it's what's happening in our neighbor's land, the Iraq, the war in Iraq, which is bordering on a civil war. It's a sectarian war, and its effects on us some way or another, and what would be its effects if it has really slipped into a real civil war in the future. So that's another concern to us. And the third one is socio-economic. As a result of the 2 things, the 2 issues, the absence of peace with Israel and the absence of peace in Iraq, how both of these things, with other factors, reflect on people's life, socio-economic life, and the emergence of economic disparity in the society.
Now,
that's
one thing,
the third one.
As we start to explore these, let me also remind our viewers, of course, they can call in and we can take questions and emails and voicemails from viewers coming in on the numbers you'll see on the screen periodically put up there. So viewers will contact us hopefully with some questions for you too. But I want to kick off on this first topic then, this first subject of the 40th anniversary. When you have now probably about nearly 3 generations living in this situation, 40 years having passed, where does it leave them when it comes to real hope for some kind of change, some kind of peace? I mean, they've known nothing else, some of these generations.
That's right. Well, in fact, let me say that the number 40 in our old tradition has a social connotation, and it's a very strange one. It's ironic to know that after 40 days of the birth of a newborn, the family celebrates the occasion, and also after 40 days after the death of a man or woman, the family and maybe the community memorializes the deceased. So now we are in the dawning days of the 40th year of occupation, and it's a coincidence that we have these problems in Iraq while we are at the same time watching, trying to remember about what has happened in the last 40 years. And the occupation after 40 years, would it be reasonable to call it occupation? Have you ever heard of occupation that lasted for 40 years? I don't think so.
What would you call it?
I would call it, it's closer to, if you don't say colonization, it's annexation. I mean, and that puts us before a big question, internationally, especially at the international level, not only Arabs and Israel, and especially also the Israelis. Are we closer to a two-state solution or to a binational state? This question is very important.
Two-state or binational?
Or binational state. I think we are perhaps closer to binational state. rather than the two-state solution.
How-
And
how-
Israel, among all other actors, should think of it seriously and to look at all at its approach to the issue in a different way from what it has been doing over the last, especially 25 years.
Let's clarify for our viewers exactly how you see these two: the two-state solution and the
The
binational.
two-state solution is the solution that the international community is after. It is the solution which the quartet is trying or claiming that it's after. It is the solution that the two parties claim that they have accepted. I'm sure that the Palestinians are accepting it and they want to reach that solution. But the question is with Israel. The problem is with Israel. Personally, I'm starting to ask questions, to question the Israelis, whether or not they are really for the two-state solution. Because what has happened, I think, very important thing over the last 40 years. What has happened mainly something called paradigm shift in addressing or approaching the Palestinian-Israeli question. We started 40 years ago from trying to address the root causes of the question, the root cause of the question, of the conflict, in order to reach peace. Now, in 2007, if you examine and scrutinize the way how the question is approached, you will be surprised that we talk about the effects of the issue, not the root causes. We talk about how the Israelis will feel secure. Why did the Palestinians are reproducing too much?
Right.
You are talking about
Population growth. Yeah.
population growth. You are not talking about the real issue. The real issue is an issue of self-determination, the right of self-determination to the Palestinians.
So you think as
And
binational,
occupation is banning it.
right? So as a binational state, then you're saying that essentially the Palestinians would become effectively citizens of what is really an Israeli state.
No, they will become citizens on their own land because their land is occupied. And the binational state has been the concept which President Bush has adopted and embraced, and also was embraced by the United Nations and the Quartet. So in public, that is the objective of the peace talks. That's the objective of the peace efforts that have been exerted by all actors and all partners. But in fact, we are not moving towards the two-state solution, especially when we watch what's happening on the ground. What's happening on the ground? A, more settlements. B, the separation wall. C, settlements in the Jordan Valley, which makes the situation look, the scene look more of an encapsulation process of a community rather than division of territory as a prelude for an independent state for the Palestinians. And that really scares me personally and scares many others.
Do you think they will actually then drive the Palestinians from the land through them being fed up? Or
How
what?
would you interpret or explain this encapsulation process? Suffocating the Palestinians? It's like encapsulating a foreign body in your body. So we need an explanation. What are they insisting? I mean, when they talked about the wall, one could understand that the wall could be for security. Okay, fine. But why would you build settlements in the valley?
Right.
So they are encircling the community. So are we talking about a community on an Israeli land, or talking about a people on its occupied land?
But let me ask you one that came from Laurie in Missouri by email. And it's just a straightforward question Laurie asked, which is, what is your answer to the horrific situation in Palestine?
Well, it is multifaceted, horrific situation. In fact, it's horrific among the Palestinians. It's horrific under the Israeli occupation. So it's horrific from all aspects.
Right.
Now, for example, today there has been some kind of clashes, violent clashes between two Palestinian factions. And at the same time, The Israelis are preparing for an incursion. So it's horrific. I might call it multifaceted horror that we are watching. It is because of the continued occupation and the failure so far to move forward towards a peaceful settlement. That's the issue. And as I said at the outset, this paradigm shift which has happened, that's the most dangerous thing that has happened in 40 years. The paradigm shift. Now, people, the quartet itself talks about the effects, not the causes.
Well, let me ask you, just because time is against us, we've just got a matter of minutes really to touch on some of the other things we talked about. Now, we had the issue of the Iraq situation taking place next door. What do you see as the direct impact of that on Jordan?
Well, if the situation continues for a longer time, it has bad effects on Jordan. Especially, you will witness here in Jordan more refugees coming from Iraq, escaping the bad situation, the insecure situation in Iraq. Already we had received around 750,000 according to the published figures. Maybe we'll have more. And that is, to us, with our resources, limited resources, especially water and other resources, that will put a heavy burden on us on it, and it will make life difficult, especially for the majority of the people, especially the lower middle class.
And people here are complaining about prices going up on property and so on. Because it's not just poorer Iraqis coming in, though, is it?
No, mostly because the first Iraqis who came in came with a lot of money. I don't know how they get it, but a lot of money. They brought in the country a lot of money. And this money was used mainly for real estate business. And that made land and apartments much more expensive than the lower middle class or the average citizen can afford to have for his family.
This,
and,
of course,
they started to complain. And our agricultural products also, their prices have risen, and other commodities. So the complaint of the people is mostly linked with the expensiveness of life in the country.
This is, of course, what you're talking about, the disparity that's taking place.
Well, the disparity, yes, was also a side effect of who benefited from the money that poured into the country, flowed into the country. Some people have benefited, others did not. And that widened the gap between the rich and the poor in the country. And it's obvious, I mean, you can feel it in the streets.
Just a thought, you know, as we're sort of wrapping up, now of course you're in a position, you're known to speak out, you're known to speak your mind. Is it harder or easier for you to speak out on the issues that you want to be critical of here? Because of course at one time you were very close to the situation of power as well.
Well,
were you able to speak out then? Were you able to be critical?
Yeah, well, you can speak out, but to a certain extent. What is considered in my country sensitive areas, you cannot approach.
And in terms of, you know, where you are in what you would like to see achieved, and how much, you know, are you able to take steps to see some of these things change? Do you still have the kind of influence?
Certainly. I would like to see things move for the better. Some things have moved for the better, indeed. Something has been really achieved, like, for example, being able in this regional chaos to sustain stability in the country. That is a great achievement. But there are other things that should be addressed.
Well, Adnan Abu Odeh, we don't have much time left, so I want to thank you very much for being with us. It's a real pleasure to talk with you, and thanks for your analysis. Of course, the debates will continue, and we hope to have a chance with you to chat with you again on that.
It has been a pleasure too.
Thank you. I thank you, sir. Adnan Abu Odeh talking with us there. Thank you for being with us, and make sure you do tune in to the next show as we continue our live coverage out of Amman in the lead up to the World Economic Forum that's taking place at the Dead Sea. We'll of course touch on any other pressing issues you have. You can contact us with your thoughts and opinions and questions and opinions anytime by simply sending an email to riz@aljazeera.net. We'll see you next time. Stay tuned. There's going to be a special edition of Street Talk from Amman coming up next.